All right, we are live.
We are live. All right.
Has-
How's your week been there, Nick?
It's been bad. How's your week been?
Been busy. My company thought it was wise to invite OSHA out for a consultation at a residential neighborhood. Actually turned out pretty decently, believe it or not. It's residential neighborhood. Sorry about that. Just correcting my volume on my phone.
Got your
But yeah,
volume up pretty
actually,
high.
apparently, OSHA actually has a thing where if you invite them out to do like an assessment, like safety assessment of your job site and work practices, they actually put you in this consultant program where if any local like safety inspector or like OSHA decides to do a surprise, like, hey, let's go like write up a whole bunch of fines on this builder here. We just show them a car that basically says, hey, we're part of your consultant program and you can leave our site. Um, which means like if they do come on, they do see any violations, instead of getting hit with the fine right off, we get a little bit extra time to get it corrected, and they explain to us how to correct it. So
Well, you're down there in Charlestown anyway. That's the wild, wild west of construction.
yeah, and that's what the OSHA consultant that came
The
out,
ocean?
yeah, the ocean. That's what the OSHA consultant that came out said. He said that this is the first time that he's ever actually been asked to come out and assess a residential construction. He said just about every other one of his coworkers like, man, you're gonna be busy today. But actually, we scored pretty damn well with the safety standards and practices. But that's just kind of how the company runs its trades and our practices. So
I had them come out on a commercial construction site at the
yeah, they
last company that I worked for when somebody fell. Or, well, he was electrocuted, then he fell.
yeah,
He fell.
shit happens. And usually they're more prone to go out to do pop inspections on commercial sites um, than they are residential. So at least that's what the consultant that came to our do our little assessment said, that just about any OSHA employee tries to steer away from residential construction just because of some of the sketchy and semi-dangerous things and practices some of the trades have and do. But anywho, speaking of trades, what's our topic this week, there, Nick? Or
Oh my
wait,
god.
we got to do our intro. Dude, man, sorry, that's 2 weeks in a row that I've just jumped the gun. I'm just so ready
Oh, I'm
to
telling you. You're
get
just
into
you're
it.
just ready to get this over with. You're like, rip this shit off like a band-aid.
Come on, man. No playing around. Don't gently pull it off. Like, let's rip as many hairs out in the process.
That's right. Going Brazilian.
Hell yeah.
No, we got to do the intro. I'm Caleb. You're Nick.
And he's Jay.
Jay's not here. Jay's slacking. We don't know what he's doing.
So
So that's the intro.
good intro. Good intro.
We do have the thought-provoking starting quote of the week. It's
And what is
actually
it?
it's actually Jay's week to do this. Ironically enough,
Yeah.
yeah, he sent me the quote that he was going to give us.
Oh, nice. Well,
Yeah,
at
so
least it's
everybody out there, pretend I'm saying this with like a Pittsburghish accent. The day you stop being hungry is the day you starve. He just sent me the quote. He didn't tell me who said it. So,
we could probably Google it if we wanted to, but
mm, sounds like work.
yeah, something that we already did today.
Sounds like work, and I ain't about that life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Friday, man. It's party time. We got Jim Beam over here, and you have some sort of canned beverage.
Yangling.
America's oldest beer.
Yeah. Oh.
What is that? It's on the can. It's like 1760 or something.
Uh, Try 1829.
What?
Yeah.
Samuel Adams, did he make beer? Yeah, he made beer.
Yeah.
I guess they're the oldest brewery. All right.
They're the oldest brewery, and they're still
All right,
American.
they found a loophole.
Oldest brewery and still American owned.
They found a loophole.
Yep.
All right, you want to do the housekeeping? You seemed pretty good at it last time.
I did pretty good at it. You said.
You did pretty good at it.
All right. So if y'all want to join us on social media, Nick's wonderful wife Monica, she monitors the Facebook. Do we do Instagrams?
We do Instagram. I'm gonna, while you're doing that, while you talk, I'm gonna open the thing here and throw the links to those in the chat.
Yep. So we're on the social media platforms of the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and stuff like that. Nick and I personally are not, but you can find us there in the comments. Nick's going to post the actual links. Excuse me, Twitter.
Coming to you guys right now.
Yep, for Twitter it's at RVing Tradesman, and on Instagram it's _TRDSMN.
Yeah, you would not believe Tradesman. Every 800 variations of it was taken by somebody. It was amazing.
If you want to help support the channel or anything, we do have an affiliate link for Amazon, and it's amazon.to/2LVHLEK.
If you want to use the Amazon link, just go to the description of any one of the videos and just click on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It's hyperlinked. All you got to do is click.
Yeah, internet's a wonderful thing, guys and girls and things.
Yeah, we do have some gals.
Yeah, we got some gals. And then if y'all want to help me get a few more sheets of plywood or drywall in the back, last show we
last show we had no drywall behind Caleb. Now we have one full 4x8 sheet, guys.
Yep, one full 4x8 sheet sitting in the back there behind me. If y'all want to see me get more, drop a like, do a hashtag, give a shout out, or if you want to help donate to the drywall fund, feel free to send us some money or cents at the PayPal.
Oh, they can't send us any cents. We have none.
That's right.
We are senseless.
But yeah, you can email us at the rvingtradesman@gmail.com, or you can donate on PayPal at the same email link. So anywho, I think that about covers it.
If you want to send us a topic suggestion to the email address too, you can do that, and we might consider doing it.
Yes, I did forget. That is a thing we do. As always, just a little bit more housekeeping, folks. We do take turns and kind of rotate. Me, Nick, or Jay will monitor the comments. So if we don't, if it's just outright hilarious and we need to stop the show for a second to draw attention to it for everyone, we will. But we try to keep that there at the end so that way we can get through whatever the topic is, any of the Q&A or anything like that, and then we'll circle back at the end and do a few shout outs and highlights of some of our favorite comments that came in during the show while we either misspoke or said something that could have been construed in an inappropriate way.
Look at you! I wouldn't have even thought to mention that. And
trying to stay on top of things.
Just like that, in under 10 minutes, we're diving into our topic.
Oh, hell yeah. And what is that topic, Nick? Now that we've actually done the important stuff.
That topic is origins of a tradesman. And it's going to be a 3-parter. This is part 1 that we're doing today. We're going to be doing kind of my rise to power, if you will. And then
your rise into the tradesman.
Yes. There can only be one. It's like Highlander.
Yeah.
But that is our topic today. I think the next show we're doing is probably going to be Jay, and then you'll be 6 weeks from now,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. I think I'll be the 6 weeker. May have to take a hiatus due to some personal things um, going on, but we'll just play that by ear. If that's the case, we'll just circle back at the 8 week mark and go from there.
We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Depending, I don't know. We may be fighting in the revolution at that point. Who knows?
Yeah. I'll be able to afford the gas to go pick up on my drywall.
Well,
Well,
I got a
without
funny
further
thing.
ado,
I got a funny thing I'll tell you about after the show about gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's expensive. Don't pass it.
It's expensive.
Yeah. All right. Well,
But-
without further ado, Nick, take it away. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I guess to start this story, we'd have to go all the way back to the early 90s. Let's see, what was popular then? 1993 Tombstone came out, so that's a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't know anything else. I don't have any other 90s shit at my fingertips other than Tombstone came out in 93.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, Goodfellas. When did that come out? 94, I think. 92? 92 or 94. Goodfellas was somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, I know, is 1994.
Yeah. The good Jurassic Parks, not the
The original Jurassic Park.
the reason why electric cars will never work.
Those cars weren't electric. Those Ford Explorers that they drove, if you watch in the movie, they actually have gas caps. And the Tyrannosaurus Rex rips the muffler out of one of them. So,
Yeah. But
there's
they
that.
say that they're electric and on the track, so
John Hammond lied.
it happens.
But yes, we would have to go back to the early 90s because that's probably about the first time that I started working on things with my hands. I remember my parents have a video of me helping my dad fix the upstairs in our house in New Jersey. So it was a 2-story house and the upstairs was unfinished. So they have video of me helping him like put doors up and put drywall up, things like that. Probably mostly get in the way.
No, you're learning.
I was learning. I was the helper.
There you go.
And then through the years, you know, building Pinewood Derby cars and doing the boat races as a Cub Scout and things like that. Lots of little odds and ends things here and there. Sometime around like 2004-ish, I actually started getting pretty heavy into working on stuff. I remember, during the day I would go to school and then I would get out of school and go work with my dad. And that would basically be anything from go fix somebody's lawnmower, that whatever didn't start, needed a tune up, to fix somebody's car, to go out and fix a refrigerator or an air conditioner for somebody or some commercial refrigerator. I mean, I'm going to talk about like a jack of all trades. Well, we were doing all the trades. And at that time, I was pretty much just the gopher, go get this tool, go get that tool, hold this thing right here while I burn this with the torch 2 inches away from where your hands are. Normal kid shit.
Yeah. Might feel a little warm, but whatever you do not let go and do not let it drop.
let go of that.
It needs to stay right there till it cools.
Oh my God. And you learn some freaking fractions quick too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring that man a 7/16 instead of a 9/16 and see how fast that wrench gets flung back at you.
Yeah. Happens. It happens.
I need the next size up from this. Oh, I got to do math. Let's see, that one's an 8. Shit.
What's bigger than
This
8?
one?
16?
Yeah. This one?
This one.
It's a 5. No, you look angry. 9. No.
Well, you
Just
eventually
standing,
learned, right?
just standing there like an immigrant at the DMV. Just no.
4K?
This one?
This one?
But yeah, I mean, that's like I said, I was just a gopher. And then at a certain point, um, my dad really started getting a little more into fixing things on his own and almost, I mean, he's actually got a decent little side business out of it now. And I remember I was in 10th grade, sophomore in high school, 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. And I think he was paying me like $15 an hour to help him after work. So I would, basically my daily schedule was get up at 6 o'clock, go to school, get out from school. At that time, I was working a part time job. I would work my part time job, get done with that, and then we'd go out and do whatever little side job that he had lined up throughout the day. And probably, I mean, there were nights that I wouldn't get home till, midnight, and it's a school night, so the next day, start all over again, do all your homework. I remember I would do my homework in my classes. Whatever, like whatever my next class was, if I was saying first period, I was
Yeah.
doing second period's homework in first period. I was just always just one class ahead.
Yeah.
But I remember too, this isn't really relevant, but I remember too, I think it was my junior year, so probably about the second year doing this retarded schedule for a 16-year-old. I had physics as my first period class. And I remember my second period class was Spanish. So I'm always doing Spanish homework in my physics class. And my teacher, he got upset with me one day and he's like, why do you have a Spanish dictionary out? There's no need for a Spanish dictionary in physics. I'm like, oh, I mean, some of this is in Latin. But he's like, and I told him, I'm like, I'm doing my homework for that class. And he's like, well, you don't need to be doing your homework for your next class in this class. And I remember I cut a deal with him. I was like, look, what's my grade in this class right now? So you've got an A in this class right now. I said, okay. I said, I've had an A all semester in this class.
Yeah.
I said, the moment I drop below an A, I was like, I will stop doing my Spanish homework in this class and I will like take physics notes and do all the physics stuff. And he was like, all right, that's fair. I was like, all right. And I kept it at an A the entire semester without ever taking a note in his class.
Oh, who
He was
was that?
Irwin.
Yeah. I like Mr. Irwin.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like him. He was pretty cool though.
I think the people like you and I liked him because he was
He made you think outside the box.
made you think outside the box, and he was a bit
Shit
of a
with the
smart
clock,
ass.
turning it, but the time would still read right.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely was a bit of a smart ass, but
But we're smart asses.
yeah, and I think that's what we like.
Yeah, I mean, I did though. I cut a deal with him. I was like, look, as long as I stay at an A in your class, as long as I can keep my my current grade point average in this class, I was like, you leave me alone about that. And he looks
Yeah.
at me and he's like, all right, that's a fair deal. He was like, but I'm telling you, he's like, the moment you drop down to a B, he's like, you're not doing your Spanish work in here anymore. I said, that's fine. I was
Yeah.
like, that's the deal. But yeah, that's what I did for a long time. Well,
Struck
a long
deals
time.
with the teachers.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to know the deal I had to cut with the Spanish teacher.
Yeah.
I have 2 drinks that I'm working off of over here.
Mixing it up, I like it.
Yeah. Well, it's like a drinking game. You do some whiskey, do some soda.
Yeah, there you go. A little chaser.
Yeah, there you go. Like we did in high school. We're talking about high school, ain't we?
Hell yeah, man. Party rocking.
Gonna party like it's 1999.
Well, you did, so we had to go back to the 90s, right?
We were not in high school then.
Still could have partied like we were in 1999.
I like how they just like took that song and made it into a pop song and made like $1 bajillion off of it.
Yeah.
As you can see, math was not my strongest subject.
Never.
But
Anywho, so
that's what that's what I did.
You know, it sounds like all through high school you pretty much either worked or you went to school.
That's pretty much what I did. I worked or I went to school. There wasn't a whole lot of time for partying. In the summertime, that really just freed me up to do more working. And it was the same thing in the summer. So the place that I worked part-time at was the same place that my dad worked at. So it was just basically go to work, get done with work, and then, hey, it's light till freaking, well, it's light out there right now, and it's 9:20.
Yeah. It's like, hey, welcome to the summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year. You know what you get to do? More work? That's correct, son.
Holy shit, boy, look at all the light out here. You know how many more activities we can do now? Great, Dad.
Great, Dad. It's also the shortest day of sleep.
Yeah, right? I wasn't doing much of that anyway. Dude,
honestly, I don't think I was either.
Yeah. The hell are we talking about? I would go home in the summertime and get on Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I hardly slept during the summer. Just because I like to get up early and I stayed up late.
No time for it.
Nope.
But yeah, I did that in summer. And as time went on, as we're going along, my dad is a refrigeration mechanic by his like first trade, primary trade, however you want to phrase that. He's a refrigeration mechanic. So every time we're doing, especially in the summertime in North Carolina, we're doing tons and tons of, no cooling calls for service for various different reasons, water leaks and stuff. As we're going along, he's telling me like, well, this is what we're doing. This is what we're checking. This is how you do this with the meter. That's how you do that. This is what you're looking at. And after a while, some of it starts to sink in. Even if it is just through attrition or osmosis, just being absorbed.
Yeah.
It's almost like
it's almost kind of like a repetition, like you learn a language like on tape, like Rosetta Stone or something like that. You hear your dad tell you like, hey, whenever you have like the condenser fan making this noise, the bearing's probably going out, or if the line's icing up, it's probably low on Freon, or vice versa. It
wasn't even so much like doing it like a Rosetta Stone. It was almost like if you were a foreign exchange student and you went to another country for 4 years of high school, it's like, well, at a certain point, you're gonna have to learn some French, or you're going to learn some German or Spanish or whatever country you're in. It's impossible not to.
Yeah.
And it was just, we started doing it so much that I was like, to where we go out on something and, we'd see like a line frozen up, we'll say, and I'm like, oh, line's frozen up. You want me to go get the refrigerant? You just kind of look at the symptom of the line frozen up. It's like, you want me to go get the refrigerant? It's like, well, yeah, it's frozen up. It's a good chance it's low. Okay, I'll go get that. Like I said, I was the gopher. Go to the truck, get the big tanker refrigerant carried over here. It weighs 800 pounds. Don't remember, lift with your back, not with your legs.
But lift in a upward twisty motion.
That's right. Take all the work out of the legs, let the back do it all.
Yeah, there you go. Twisty, jerky, upward motion.
Hurt your back. I don't
You,
know how
you,
you did
you were the
that.
weak. You were the weak mind and strong body, right? In that
Pretty
equation.
much. Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, son, you're pretty youthful. Why don't you go climb up and down that ladder 100 different times? I'll stay
Yeah.
up here.
I
Your
tell you
dad
what,
knew what
you
he was
go in the
doing.
attic. It's about
I'll stay out here.
140 degrees. I know the house is hot, but it's not nearly as hot as it is up there. You go up there, you take care of
Yeah.
that, and I'll go away.
Don't worry, son. If you pass out up there, it's going to be a lot easier for the emergency responders to pull you out than me.
Oh, it'll be really easy if I'm not in the way.
Yeah.
No, we'll hear. That's fine. We'll hear the thud.
We'll
If
hear the
if you
thud. Make sure you
if
fall
you,
between the joists so that way you come
I was
through the
gonna say
ceiling
if you
and we
hit it
can
right
hear
and
you.
you get between the joists, you'll just come right through the sheetrock, and we'll know for sure.
Yeah. And then it becomes a drywall issue, not an HVAC issue.
That's right. We got a whole different guy for that.
Yep.
That's one thing I'll say. All my years of doing residential stuff, I've never stepped through a ceiling. Never.
Yeah. That is impressive because I know quite a few guys that have stepped straight through.
I saw one guy do it,
Yeah.
but we'll get to him in a minute. But yeah, and like I said, just kind of through attrition, you start learning things, and was kind of like, well, not really sure what I want to do. Truthfully, what I really wanted to do, the way that I wanted to take my career, but it just didn't end up working that way, was I wanted to either go into the Coast Guard. And if I joined the Coast Guard, what I wanted to do was run drug interdiction for the Coast Guard. Because what my plan for that was do either a full career or a pretty decent partial career, like half a career, 3/4 of a career, something like
Yeah.
that. Then get out and transition into law enforcement, and running drug interdiction for the Coast Guard would have been, other than going into the military and just being an MP, it would have been like the kind of the best training, the closest I could have done.
Yeah.
To prepare me to get out and go into law enforcement. Problem with the whole Coast Guard thing was there's like one recruiter for all of North Carolina, and they don't answer their phone or call you back.
Yeah. Well, and also around the time that you and I were trying to get in, there was a huge military cutback, and they became very restrictive on everything.
They became very ticky tacky on a lot of like disqualifying factors that, or just 2-3 years beforehand would not have even been thought of.
Yeah. I mean, quick little side note on that. My wife, she, one of her good friends, her twin brother, he was in the Air Force, went to the academy, had the highest scores, highest PT scores, full scholarship, right? Gets in the Air Force. He'd been in the Air Force about 2 or 3 years by this point when they were really starting to cut back. And when he was 8 years old, they had asthma, him and his sister. And so they basically went through his entire medical background. He hadn't had asthma since he was like 16 years old, and here he is like 24, 25, peak physical condition. And the Air Force went back through, oh, well, you had asthma when you're 8. Guess what? You're out. And they medically retired him.
Which the crazy part is 2009 is when Bo Bergdahl walked off of the FOB, the forward operating base. 2009 is when he walked off the base. And if you go back and look at his record, he was actually denied entrance twice during like the peak of like be all you can be, take everybody that signs up, we're going, and then I think it was his third time he finally found some recruiter who was desperate enough to sign off on some paperwork and fudge the paperwork basically and get him into the Army.
Yeah.
So it's like you took that, but you don't want me.
Yeah.
But I was considering too either going Navy or Air Force. The problem with that was I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do in the Navy or the Air Force
Yeah.
on that front. But if I was going to do that, I probably would have made a full career out of either one of those two. And then I was truthfully, I know me and you both took the JROTC course in our high school. I was truthfully, after taking that course, I thought like that would be really fun. That
Yeah.
just the one instructor for the course, Sergeant Reed. I know you have some similar feelings as to what I do. We both kind of have that same feeling of like, man, I'd really like to, be an ROTC instructor and, be like Sergeant Reed. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. Get in
Um,
and do your service and then get out and just like be inspiration to the youths in high
to
school.
the Utes.
The youths.
What is a Ute?
My cousin Vinny. Hey, well, no, that one came out in the 80s, so sorry.
Nope, my cousin Vinny was, I think, 1991.
Sure about that?
I
thought it was 89.
Sure, it was in the 90s. Let's do a quick 1992.
That's right. It came out after Karate Kid, and believe it or not, he was because in Karate Kid he was like 26, and then in My Cousin Vinny he was 30, and expecting his first kid.
Yes,
Not the
and
guy that plays
he's-
Vinny, the guy that
You're
plays,
talking about Ralph Macchio,
Yeah,
who plays Vinny's cousin. He plays.
talk about somebody that doesn't age. That guy still looks young, like in the new
Ralph
Karate
Macchio?
Kid. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ralph
he does.
Macchio.
He
Looks like a
looks
child.
like he's like 18.
But he's like
18
almost in his 50s.
at his oldest.
Anyway,
But, yeah,
we're,
that's-
we're, we're,
We are. We had to do a quick My Cousin Vinny.
yeah.
That's your My Cousin. That's your Ralph Macchio trivia for the week, everybody.
Yep.
Use that around the proverbial water cooler.
There we go. All right.
Water cooler talk with Nick and Caleb.
Beer talk with Nick and Caleb is more like it.
Drunk thoughts with Nick and Caleb.
We ain't got no water here.
But that's what I wanted to do. And when the whole military drinking whiskey, so when the whole military side of it started falling apart, I just kind of fell back on what I knew, and I was like, well, I've been doing this a while. I kind of know what I'm doing. So went and I took my, obviously you need certain certifications to be heating and air, do refrigeration, things like that. I went and I took the test, did all that stuff, got certified, got a job. The first guy that I worked for, I'm pretty sure I knew more than he did. Because, funny story, we get to I get the job, which I didn't interview with him. I interviewed with this other guy. And so I had never actually met like the owner of the company. So he goes, yeah, meet him over here and he'll pick you up and you guys will ride together. And in about a week or so, we'll get you a truck to drive around. And I'm thinking, holy crap, like, I don't know enough to be out in a truck by myself, I guess I'm going to have to figure this out pretty quick.
Yeah. Sink or swim.
Yeah, pretty much. Come to find out, that's how most heating and air companies do it. They're like, yeah, it says here on your resume, 608 certified. So we got a truck out there. It's old. Oil pressure runs low on it. Watch out for that. But it's got
You make
parts
it back
on it.
at
We'll
the end
give
of
you
the
a
day,
gas
you got
card.
yourself a job.
So anyway, I meet this guy and he goes, yeah, we got to go change this evaporator coil. It's leaking refrigerant, we pick up the coil, we go out to the place and, trying to show some initiative. I'm like, hey, you want me to grab the reclaim, anything like that? He's like, no, we can pump it down. So, okay. So, I'm like, you need me to grab a light, drop cord, what do you need me to get? No, no, no. He holds up his drill and he goes, drill's got a light on it. Motherfucker, for real right now? The drill's got a light on it?
Oh my God.
So we go up in this attic, right? He's taken the drill. There's no lights in the attic, right? Because like there's the one light that they give you by the door, right? The door's over here and the unit's way the hell over there away from the light. So he's walking along the rafters and he just like hits the trigger on the drill to turn the light on, and you see him like, oh, okay. And then he'll put his foot down and he'll go like 2 steps and then he'll like hit the trigger again. And he's like, looks, I'm like, this is the owner of the company. How much does a flashlight cost? Like, you can get a cheap one for what? Like $2 at the counter at Lowe's? Like, what are we doing here, man? Just a little pocket one to freaking hold up. I mean, like at the time, all I really carried was just that little mag light that held 2 AA's. I'm like, here, man, like,
borrow this.
Yeah, for real. So we get up there, we get the coil, we get the old coil out, get the new coil in, and I look at him and I go, you want me to grab a extension cord and the vacuum pump? And he goes, why? I'm like, well, we got to pull a vacuum, get the non-condensables out and the moisture and all that good, happy horse shit so that the unit keeps running. He goes, no, I didn't want to pay for all that on this one. We ain't doing that.
I got a drill.
He's like, no, they didn't want to pay for all that on this one. We ain't doing that. I'm like, that's not really how it works.
Yeah.
So it was kind of at that moment that I was like, probably not going to stay at this company for the rest of my career.
I mean, they seem so promising, though, Nick.
I mean, he was, really, above all else, he wanted to do the job right. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I worked there.
They ain't got the money for that. They ain't going to pay for it.
Yeah, I worked there for like right at a year, and ended up getting into an argument with him, and it was the kind of quintessential like, you can't fire me, I quit kind of things at the end of the argument.
Yeah.
So I left there and I went and I mean, that job sucked. That was 16-hour days, 6 days a week. I mean, he's like, oh, you're making good money. He's like, you're getting all this overtime, making all this good money, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, dude was paying me like $12.50 an hour. I was not, even with overtime, I wasn't making great money. Not for what I was doing. Compared to what a lot of other companies in the area pay. And I mean, that was no health benefits, no nothing. I mean, it was definitely an entry-level position. I told him one day, because we happened to be riding together. He's like, yeah, you're making all this money and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I said, it doesn't do me any good if I don't have any time to do anything with it. So I barely have time to freaking do my laundry. And I'm like, Sunday is the only day that I get off. And hell, most times Sunday, all I do is sleep.
Yeah. Trying to catch up on the sleep you weren't getting the rest of the week.
Pretty much. And anyway, I ended up leaving that place and I went to another place, another local company that was better. It was definitely a step up. And I worked there for 3-4 years, somewhere around there, 3 to 4 years. And that company, in all honesty, it wasn't a bad place to work. I actually ended up running into probably the best manager that I've had in my career so far. I actually still keep up with him from time to time, probably not like I should, but the guy's name was Richard, and he ended up teaching me a lot as well. He's probably taught me equally as much as my dad has. He knew a lot about airflow and different things like that, which definitely learning more on the airflow side of it kind of started putting together a lot of pieces of the puzzle that just kind of didn't. There were certain things that even though I had been doing it, for a year and, had moved on to my second job doing this, there were still pieces of the puzzle that didn't quite make sense and didn't quite fit in, and that the airflow side of it started answering for me. But I was also pretty self-driven too. I would run into something during the day, and especially when I went to this other company where I was only working, 12 hours a day there, so I had a lot more free time.
Well, yeah,
But
naturally.
I would run into like a weird scenario, I'd be like, "Man, this one was like, really stumping me," or, "This compressor was doing something that doesn't make sense. Why did it do that?" Or like, "I was trying to diagnose this and I think it's a TXV, but I don't really understand how the TXV works and, this and that." So I would go home, and anything that I didn't understand, I would look up in, you know, the textbooks and stuff. And, I'd go through the textbook and I'm like, okay, here's the TXV. Here's how the TXV works. And I'm like, I'd read the chapter on it, section on it. And I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense. Still doesn't really make a whole lot of sense though. And I would just keep like reading the book over and over, reading the section over and over. And a lot of times, you'd get one thing, be like, oh, the TXV works off of this by doing this. And then there's this other thing that affects the TXV. And I'm like, well, I don't understand what that is. All right,
Yeah.
where's the page on that? And then I'm flipping through and here's the page on. Okay, well, that's what that does. And that really, that really helped a lot, because I didn't go to any kind of trade school or technical school or anything like that. It was all learn it out in the field. This is how it works. This is what it does, which is all well and good. But you lose a lot of the theory, and the theory really tells you how a lot of it is supposed to work. And when you know how it's supposed to work, it's easy to figure out why it's not working. So that's what I did because I'm a nerd. But like I was saying, I ended up working there for about 4 years. That manager Richard ended up leaving, and after he left, a lot of the guys left. That company as well. I was included in that. And that was when I kind of ventured into commercial. I actually ended up working for one guy for about 3 weeks. I worked there a week and put in my 2 weeks notice. It was that bad.
Jeez.
And at the time, I had two companies competing for me because one of the guys that had left the residential company that I was working for, he was working for another residential company. So I had gone and interviewed with them, which I didn't really want to go back to residential, but I definitely didn't want to work for the guy that I was working for, because he was kind of like going back to that first guy that I worked for originally. Oh no, we've lost Caleb. I bet anything he pushed the wrong button. See if he comes back here in a second. Let's click over, see if there's any good comments. He says, keep going, the internet went out. And he's working on it. All right, well, we will keep going. The guy that I ended up working for when I started venturing into commercial, like I said, he was kind of the commercial version of the first guy that I worked for. He sent me out to one job. He did commercial and he did a little bit of residential, and this happened to be a residential call. And I go out and check the unit out, and I determine that I think it's the compressor. And I tell him, well, it's the compressor. We'll have to get a compressor. Go get the compressor, come back the next day, go to start changing the compressor out. And I realize, oh, wait a minute, it's not the compressor. It's actually the way these condos were put in. The original installing contractor switched two of the condensing units. So what you had going on was I think the first 3 floors of the first floor of the townhouse was actually an office space, and then the next 3 floors, so 2, 3, and 4 were residential space. So the first floor had a small unit, and the rest of the building had a larger unit because of how big it was in comparison. And what they did was they put the bigger unit on the smaller air handler and the smaller unit on the bigger air handler. I went out, I figured out, like I said on the second trip out, oh, I made a mistake. Actually, these condensing units are swapped. So I called up the owner of the company and I let him know, hey, this is what I found. What do you want me to do about it? And he says, well, just go ahead and swap the units around. I said, okay, well, what do you want me to do about the compressor? I said, we've already got the compressor. I don't know if they'll let us take this back. And he said, well, just take the compressor and put it at the office. And I said, well, you don't understand. This is a warranty compressor. That's the problem here. And he said, well, just tell them that you put the compressor in. And I said, well, you can't do that. That's, at the very least, that's lying. At most, it's you're stealing. And anyway, he goes, well, yeah, just do that and swap the units and, tell them you put the compressor in and nobody's the wiser. And I said, man, I'm not doing that. So I actually ended up swapping the units so that they would work. And then I brought the compressor back to the supplier. Luckily, it was a supplier that I have a good relationship with, and I was able to talk to him and let him know what had happened. They took the compressor back, and I wrote the invoice up, and I never turned it in, so that never got billed out. But the problem that I ran into was a couple of days later, the unit tripped the breaker because I had forgot to switch the breakers. So I call the owner up again and I say, well, what do you want to do about this? And he says, well, just tell him that the breaker was the wrong size. And I said, this is the problem with lying, is now we have to cover a lie with another lie. Or we have to cover the lie with truth, and then the lie is going to fall apart. And that was kind of the moment where I decided that I wasn't going to be working for them very long. I went to another company after that that did construction, mainly new commercial construction, and I did service for them. And that was a decent company. Hey, you're just in time.
Sorry about that. So
Your damn Mickey Mouse internet going out.
no, so what it was, my Great Dane actually pulled the Wi-Fi extender out of the wall. So that's why my internet went out.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we just got through why I didn't work for the other guy for more than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're up to where I did commercial construction for a guy that has 2 sons that me and you went to school with.
Yeah.
Actually, he lives right down the street from your parents.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Him
Yeah,
and I,
I'm trying to leave names out of it.
Yeah, him and
Are
I
you
used
putting
to,
down what I'm picking up?
I'm picking up what you're putting down. But
Okay.
yeah, him and I, we actually hung out quite a bit in our youths. Played baseball, baseball together.
Tyler?
Huh?
Tyler?
No.
Was it Tyler or Chris?
Chris.
Chris? Yeah, Chris was pretty cool. Tyler was a tool.
Tyler was his younger brother, wasn't he?
They were cousins.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, they were cousins.
That's right.
But,
yeah, his brother's name was Corey. That's what it was. It was Chris and Corey, and then Tyler.
That's right. I forgot that he had a brother.
Yeah, I played with He used to play with him and his cousin whenever his cousin come over and visit with him.
I think Tyler has. I think Tyler's got a sister. I don't think he has a brother. I could be wrong though. But yeah, I ended up going to work for them. Um, not gonna say it was the greatest company to work for. I will say the owner of the company, Kevin, he was very understanding, kind of to the fact that I was new to commercial, so there were going to be certain things that I was going to get wrong, or there was going to be certain things that I didn't understand. You know, things like that. It was definitely a good place to learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I really didn't like the construction side of it. It's not really my thing. But
Yeah, because you
kind of
that's
rose.
where you did all like the rough and stuff like that, like unit setups and everything.
Well, the construction. So I was on the service side of it. I've always worked service. I've done install, kind of on and off, helped out, you know, that sort of thing. Somebody calls out sick or something, they're like, "Hey, can you go help with this install?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go help with that." I don't, but I've never done a 40-hour a week install job like that. Um, a lot, and a lot of the part of the construction side of it that well, to answer your question, the construction side would go out and they would set the equipment and do all the duct work and run the piping and things like that, and then I would basically just come in and start the equipment after it was set up.
Do you like all the startup and everything?
Yeah, I would go in and do all the startup. But the thing that I didn't like about the construction side of it so much was a lot of it was just the guys. I mean, because anybody who's in the HVAC field knows that there's like the feud between the HVAC or between the service techs and the installers. You know, the installers are always doing crap that the service tech doesn't like because it's making his life harder. And doing this, it was like some of the guys, I swear, we had a couple of crews. I think maybe at one point at its height, they had three crews of guys that could go out, set the equipment, do the ductwork, run the line set, pressure test everything, do the wiring, and like they would do everything start to finish and it would be done. And I might go out there to, you know, meet the fire marshal for, some life safety testing, or might go out to, do this or do that, some little thing or some shit they couldn't figure out. But then you had these other guys that they didn't do any of that. They would go out, they'd set the equipment, they'd do the duct work, they'd run the line set, and they pressure test it. And then I would have to come back and evacuate the line set, do the wiring, do all this other crap. And you'd run into these guys where they would put say a duct detector, which is supposed to shut the equipment down if there's ever a fire in the building. They put it right at the roof deck. So it's 16, 18 feet off the floor. Well, the problem is they wouldn't call in to have the startup done on it until all the ceiling was in place. And I'm like, well, I can't get to that now.
Yeah.
So, I've got to go in and take half the ceiling grid apart and not mess up the ceiling tiles or mess up the ceiling grid and get, a 14-foot ladder in there so that I can hook up four wires, 5 wires, something like that. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Or you go out to a unit and they run the thermostat wire to the unit, but they run it to the unit and stop. They don't give you any wire to go inside the unit. And I'm like, okay, you guys know the wires have to go inside the unit, right? Like, I don't just touch it to the outside of the unit and that's how it communicates. It's got to go inside. And so then you had some, the rule became, well, run it to the unit like run the wire to the unit and then add 10 feet to it. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you had some of these guys, they'd add like 20, 30 feet to the thing. I mean, I'd have a bundle of wire, the size of a basketball that I'm throwing out. And I'm like, Jesus,
Yeah.
man.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm like,
doing that nowadays, wire's fucking expensive.
oh, I was bringing the crap home and throwing it I had a big garbage can at the house. I'd throw it in there. The garbage can would fill up. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that down in the scrapyard.
There you go.
Make $50 off of that. That was shit that was going to get thrown out.
Yeah.
But
which is saying something, because usually on the commercial side, they don't throw away shit.
Oh. No, they didn't throw anything away. What they did was they would take it all back to the office, and there was a little covered porch area on our office. It would all go under that, and it would sit there forever.
And then every spring to be like, all right, throw all this in the dumpster.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there were a couple of times that I was like, are you guys throwing that flex out? Yeah, we're going to throw that flex out. I'm like, well, I'm taking that home. I'm like, I got a duct that I need to redo. Oh, okay. But, dude, I got into a lot of arguments with people at that job just because I rose through the ranks pretty quickly and kind of made a name for myself as knowing what I was talking about. And that kind of really quickly put me on the radar of, well, just send Nick, he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that, but it does get to a point where it's like, okay, somebody else kind of needs to step up a little bit and at least take some of this dumber shit.
Yeah.
Because I'm going too many damn different places.
Yeah, that's kind of like what the kind of situation I've put myself in with my new company. Where I'm
it's great to feel wanted, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like, it's not so much that they'll send me, because like I went from warranty to the build side now, and I mean, I'll get into this in more detail, but it's like I still get daily phone calls from some like the newer warranty reps that I never trained. It's just they got like an old warranty ticket, or they're helping out one of the other warranty guys while they're on vacation that I used to work in their neighborhood or help them out on this one house this one time. And they're like, hey, so what can you tell us about this? And I'm like, well, I don't know. You're the tech that's there. You're looking at it. Like, you tell me what's going on. Well, I don't know
what's happening.
Yeah, tell me what's happening. I can talk you through it. Well, they said they got a water leak. Okay, well, sounds like they got a water leak.
I'd go look for the pipe that has water coming out of it.
Yeah, I'd be like, is it a plumbing leak, or like, where's the leak at? Oh, no, I don't think there's any plumbing on the roof. Okay, then it's a roof leak. Get the roofers out there to inspect it.
Yeah.
So, stuff like that. So, I mean, I get what you're saying about like the whole made a name for yourself because you did good work and you knew what you're doing, but then it's like, oh, just either call this guy or send him. He'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I've got like 2.5 quick stories I can tell you about this place. So I happen to be working a startup on a hotel one day, and I'm working in the ceiling of this hotel, and I'm up there. It's a construction site, so you got to have your safety glasses and your steel toe boots and your high visibility vest and your hard hat. Pretty standard battle rattle to be on any construction site nowadays. And as I'm up there working, my hard hat catches a piece of ceiling grid wire because, God forbid, we cut off the excess ceiling grid wire when we're done with it.
Oh, yeah.
And, it falls off. So now I got to climb down the ladder and get my hard hat, put it back on. And I go up there, and there's MC cable running everywhere. And, about the second or third time that the hard hat falls off, I'm like, man, the hell with this damn hard hat. Because I'm up at the ceiling. 6 inches above my head is the second floor. So I take my hard hat off and I just stick it on the ceiling, up in the ceiling right there. And I'm working, doing my thing. And this general contractor comes by and he looks up, and I see him walk by me, and he comes back and he looks up, and I see him looking at me, and I'm just, doing my wiring, like, whatever, like, fuck off, leave me alone. And he looks up at me and he goes, "Can you read?" And I'm like,
Nope.
"Yeah, can you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can." He's like, "Did you not see the sign out front that says you need to have your hard hat and your safety glasses and everything else on?" And I'm thinking at this point, like, okay, he's just making sure I got my hard hat. I'm like, "Yeah, I got my hard hat, man." I'm like, it's right here." I was like, and I told him, I said, it kept falling off. I'm like, I just laid it down in the ceiling. I'm like, if, I got it with me, I'll wear the damn thing. It's just, I'm in a tight spot right now.
Plus, at that point, it's going to be shifting around while you're trying to hook up wires, right? Or do whatever, like work on.
Well, it's falling off of me at this point. It's more of a hazard to the people on the ground.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, "Hey, look," I'm like, "Yeah, it kept falling off." I'm like, "I took it off so it doesn't hit somebody or anything." I was like, "I've got it right here." And he's like, "You need to be wearing a hard hat at all times when you're on my job site." And it's I know it's in the summer. I think it's like June when this is going on. And it's a hot day and I'm really not in the mood for it. And I look down at him and I go, "What the fuck is going to happen to me? The second floor is going to fall down on my head and crush me?" I'm like, "I don't think the hard hat's going to help."
Yeah, at that point, you get knocked off the ladder and everything's coming down on top of you.
And he's like, "Well, do you want to go out to your truck and explain to your boss why I kicked you off the site?" And I'm like, at this point, don't do me any favors. I'm like, I went off on the superintendent on the site, and I'm like, "What do you want out of me, Ed?"
Yeah.
I was like, honestly, I'm like, "What do you want? The damn thing's falling off of my head." I'm like, "It's a threat to the people down there." I said, "The only thing that's going to hit me is the second floor." So he kind of backed off at that point, and I get this unit wired in, and this kind of leads into the second story that I have about this same job. I turn the power onto the unit, and the disconnect explodes, and there's sparks everywhere. And, I'm like, "What the fuck is this shit now?" Turn the power off. I open up the disconnect. I look inside the disconnect, and I'm like, "Well, the fucking electrician's wired it wrong. No wonder it exploded." So I go get the electrician. I'm like, "Hey, you need to rewire this disconnect." And he's like, No, we got power at the disconnect." And he goes over there, he flips the breaker back on because it tripped. And he goes over there and he goes, "No, you got power at the disconnect." I said, "I know I have power at the disconnect." And he goes, "Yeah, so we're good." I said, "No, we're not good." I said, "You wired the damn thing wrong." I said, "You have a phase-to-phase short in there." I said, "You need to fix these wires." I said, "That wire needs to be there. This wire needs to be here." And now I'm explaining to the electrician how to do his job. And I'm like, so he gets it corrected. I go outside. I get ready to turn the outdoor unit on, and I go get the electrician, and I said, "You need to turn that on." And he goes out there and he goes, "No, it's got power to it." I said, "No, I'm not turning it on." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I am not turning it on. The last one I turned on blew up, and I had to explain to you how to do your job. You wired it, you turn it on." So he turns it on and it explodes, and he shuts it off. He's like, "What the fuck?" And he opens it up, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "You wired this one exactly like you wired the other one. You wired it wrong." I said, "I suggest going through and checking the rest of them." Come to find out, they had these like temp workers. This electrical company had hired these temp workers. These guys didn't have any real electrical experience. You would tell them, like, "I need a wire from this panel here to this room over here for an outlet." They would literally run the wire in a straight line.
Nice.
Firewalls be damned. We don't care what it was going to go through. Like, cut the ductwork out of the way, cut the plumbing out of the way, just straight line. Boom, boom. No junction boxes in the middle, nothing. So.
Sounds like a high quality electrician.
I leave, right? This is all the same day. getting into the argument with the superintendent, yelling at the electrician and calling him an idiot, all the same day. I leave. I'm 3/4 of the way home. I get a phone call from the owner of the company. I'm thinking, oh, great. This is about what I said to the superintendent. I'm like, all right. I guess I gotta get bitched at. So he, he calls me and he's like, yeah, Ed told me what you said over there. I'm like, well, Ed was kind of being a fucking idiot. So I called him a fucking idiot. He's like, yeah, Ed's a pretty decent guy. He's like, you probably just caught him on a bad day, which actually that part did turn out to be true. Ed did turn out to be a really decent guy. But anyway, he goes, I need you to go back to the hotel. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm almost home, dude. Why do I need to go back to the hotel? He said, well, they turned on one of the units and did something, and they're saying that the heat is stuck on. I'm like, well, they're piece of shit York units. I said, it's probably the stupid ass relay is stuck on it, because it seems like every single job we do, there's at least one of them that's stuck. He goes, yeah, you're probably right. I said, I don't have that relay on my truck. I said, so all I'm going to be able to do is just go out there and turn it off.
And be like, yeah, it's stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck. It's Friday at 6 o'clock. Good luck. You'll be fine until next
Friday,
week.
6 o'clock, I'm going home.
So he goes, well, just go out there and see if you can do anything for it. Okay. So I go out there. I get out there and I turn the power off. I'm like, there you go. Heat's not on anymore. Guarantee you it will not run the heat without power every time. These electricians, they freaked out and they shut off the main to the entire hotel. They can't get the power back on now. And the superintendent is telling me, you can't leave until they get the power back on. I'm like, dude, this ain't my problem. The heat's off. Heat's off. Power's off to it. It's not going to run any heat. You're good.
Yeah.
I'll come back Monday with the relay. And he goes, no, you got to stay here until the power comes back on so that we make sure the other units come on. I'm like, whatever. So I'm standing there. I'm waiting. I'm like, what is taking these guys so long to turn the damn power back on? I go over there. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And, everybody, it's all the temp electrician workers, and none of them speak any English. And they're like, there's one guy that speaks like bad English. And he's like, they can't get the power on. I'm like, what do you mean they can't get the power on? He's like, well, they can't get the power on.
Well, turn the power on. Let's try that.
I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? So I go in the electrical room. We talked about Jurassic Park before, right? You remember the scene in Jurassic Park where Laura Dern goes to turn the power back on to the park?
Yeah, and she's got to flip the switch on and off. She's got to
flip the switch. You have to charge the switch because it's like 1,000 amp breaker.
Yeah.
And if you try and just close the breaker, it just blows the switch back open.
Yeah.
So the way these breakers work, you have to charge them up so that when it closes, you have a holding charge in there to hold the switch closed for a second or two until it fully closes and keeps it closed. All right. That's what she's doing in there when she's pumping the big gray flat priming handle, to quote Richard Attenborough. They're in there. It's the exact same setup. And they go, yeah, look. See? The power won't stay on. I go, yeah, because it's like 1,000 amp breaker. You can't just close it. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, has anyone in this room ever seen Jurassic Park? I'm like, you have to charge that switch before you close it.
And that's the day you turn into an electrician god.
Oh, no, I didn't do that. I looked at the other guy. I looked at the superintendent, and I was like, your electricians are idiots. I was like, they do not know what they're doing. And I told him, I was like, I'm not turning anything else on in this place until the actual electrician, not the yo, goes through and fixes everything. And I told him, I was like, I had 2 disconnects blow up on me today. I'm like, they need to be off this site. I was like, they're dangerous. And I walked away. I got my truck and I left.
Hard hat is dangerous there, Nick.
Yeah, I got my truck and I left, and it was funny. I ran into him on another job, and I he definitely had a very different respect for me at that point. But after I left that place, I went to the place that I'm currently at now, which I do enjoy. Here in this last week or so, it's been a little harder. I think there's probably three guys at the company that actually know what the hell we're doing, and unfortunately, I'm one of them. So it's definitely been hard, especially with it being 100+ degrees outside.
Yeah.
I've got a list of things to do that's a mile long that just keeps growing because apparently it's me and two other guys that are the only three that can be trusted to go out and actually fix anything. I'd be
Yeah.
willing to go out and do all the diagnostic stuff and just let somebody else come out and do the actual fixing.
Yeah. Now, I don't blame you on that. Diagnostic is a lot nicer. That's why, well, let's use that to kind of transition into our comments. Um,
But
Mister,
yeah, well, before we do that, uh, the
well,
place that I'm at now, for those that don't know, I do commercial industrial equipment. It's kind of something that I wanted to get into since I started doing heating and air, was kind of the bigger stuff, and I enjoy it. It's a good company to work for. I actually had run into a guy at a supply house that said he was kind of like a service manager for another company, and he's trying to recruit me a little bit to go on to his company. And I told him, I said, man, I said, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. He goes, yeah, he goes, it's funny. You guys are a pretty decent sized company, aren't you? I said, yeah, we got probably about 25 people or so, between the three locations and all that. And he goes, I've never interviewed anybody from your company, for a prospective job. And I was like, that's because to leave this company, you have to want to leave. I was like, you very rarely get fired. And I was like, if you do get fired, you seriously fuck something up. And I was like, the reason people don't leave is because we're pretty decently taken care of.
yeah,
Like we don't have the best benefits in the area, but we definitely by far do not have the worst benefits. I mean, we have solid benefits. We get good pay. I mean, for the most part, we're kind of left to make our own schedule and do our own thing. So,
that's not a bad thing to have.
no. All right, now you can transition your comments. Which one do you want
Uh, Kind of going into well, shit. Had a good thought and then you made me lose it. Um,
to? Well, must not have been that great of a thought if you lost it.
yeah. I mean, it was how to tie in the one about Mister Jerry G. There talking about how you you want to stay out of warranty and everything. Um,
Oh, this one here?
yeah. Oh no, some along the lines of I mean, when I was talking about warranty, I mean that was kind of my transition into like more of a trade base kind of job field. Um, at my company, warranty is considered to be entry level. Um, and everyone I've talked to, they're like, "Oh, dude, I don't know how the hell you do warranty. I can't stand warranty. Warranty sucks." I'm one of those guys. I mean, and Nick, you know more so than most people. I know a lot of the people that tune in regularly. They've heard about me talking about my previous job in law enforcement and stuff. I mean, I don't mind warranty. I enjoyed it. I was that kid, much like you, where I like to whenever I played with like new toys or got a new toy or anything, if it had a Phillips head screw or a flat head screw in it,
It was coming apart.
oh yeah. I went to my dad's toolbox. I pulled out the flat head, the Phillips head. I took the whole thing apart and put it back together. And I'm like, hey, look, mom, dad, I took the whole thing apart. And they're like, we just bought that for you. I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll put it back together.
I took one of my cousins. He had a PlayStation. I think it was a PlayStation 2 controller, and it was like nicer than mine. It was because I if I got something nice like that, I got like the basic version of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a nicer controller than mine. I was like, man, it's a really nice controller. I'm like, why don't you use this one? I'm like, oh, it's got the analog sticks on it and all kinds of other shit. And I'm like, fucking multiple modes and crap. And he's like, it was one of those ones that you could like program it so that you could click it over and you could have a different setup.
Yeah.
You could have like a different controller setup and then you could like click it back. And he was like, oh, it doesn't work right. He's like, all the buttons, they're all messed up and everything. And I was like, well, you just don't use it? And he was like, no. I was like, can I have it? He's like, yeah, I don't care. It's broken. He's like, I'm going to throw it out. I took it home, took it apart, and cleaned all the soda and shit out of it and all the crumbs and everything and got it working. I was like, hell yeah, I got me a new controller.
There you go. Yeah. See how it's put together and then fix it. Generally speaking, Jerry, you do lose some money on the warranty side. With the residential builder that I work for, they hired me on, and this is where me being a cop was favorable to like their idea of this entry level position, because I did spend the better part of 2 years doing in-depth investigation, like criminal investigations. So the company, they saw that on my application. They're like, oh, you know how to like look at something and figure out who did what. So with my warranty, my warranty spend, because my company, they're based off of Matrix and stuff. My warranty spend when I was in warranty was relatively low on things that I was able to put back on a specific trade whenever they did the install. And of course that, I had a lot of very difficult and uncomfortable conversations with company owners and CEOs and field managers. Like, well, you can't prove that. I'm like, well, who else is using a 16 gauge brad nail on the trim where all the plumbing pipe is behind it that, rusts out after 3 years? And they're like, well, how do you know that's what happened? I'm like, well, the plumbers, when they came out to fix the leak, they found this piece of pipe and you still have the rusted 16 gauge brad nail right there, but, yeah, so you do end up, there are some things, and depend on the warranty rep and their supervisors, they're not willing to back the warranty rep. So you do end up spending a little bit of the company's money trying to get things fixed for homeowners and stuff like that. But
I like how you said, like, oh, I got to have some uncomfortable conversations with company owners and stuff. I am the exact opposite. I have no problem telling a company owner, you're full of shit.
Yeah, well, and the thing is that it's one of those things. My company, they're like, yeah, feel free to tell them like you're full of shit. Problem is, when I need them to do me a favor, I want to be on their good side. So, when I was in warranty and also wanting to go to the build side, and now that I am on the build side, I had to keep that customer client, relationship with that trade. So it's like, while I personally, I really had no issue calling them out on their shit, I had to do it tactfully, where it's not like, hey, dude, your fucking trim guy doesn't know how to like find a fucking stud in the wall, and he put like 20 fucking nails through the drywall into the plumbing pipe. It missed the stud altogether, just because no one, with my progression, I wanted to get into the build side and everything. I would have to have that relationship, because if I had a house and I needed that specific trade to do something or pull a favor for me, I want them to be on my good side. So, that's where, the conversation gets a little awkward, because you got to say, hey, you did this, you got to foot the bill. But hey, let's get through this together, and help me out later.
Yeah. That's the only kind of downside to where I'm at now, is there's not really, and it's just because the positions aren't there, but there's not really anywhere exactly to go up. I trying to kind of create a position for myself, but
Yeah.
it's slow moving so far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, just be persistent with it, because I mean, as you know, I've talked. I mean, hell, you helped me get my AC back up and running on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. over the phone. But I think that was a relatively easy fix. Just swap out a motor.
It was, but I mean, relatively easy. I mean, you said it relatively. For me, it's easy. Yeah, take this wire off, take that wire off, put this wire here, put that wire there. But I mean, for you, it's uncharted territory.
Yeah. I mean,
You
I,
know,
I knew enough, and I read the diagram, and I'm like, well, I think this is what it is, but I'm going to wait till I talk to the professional. And, honestly, I was going to go on the diagram below it, which, glad I waited till you called, because otherwise I'd be pulling all the hot air into my condenser unit, and that'd have been no bueno.
it would have worked for a little while
Yeah. But,
until it got really hot out.
yeah. Let's see. The next comment. Let's go up to the 936 comment. For anyone else who's not Jerry falling in, another one. I mean, I think that probably is the epitome of, like, a father looking out for his son right there. And just for me, knowing you, knowing your dad and stuff like that, all the time I've spent with you and him over the years and whatnot through high school and even now, whenever I come back up and visit, you can tell, like, he always wanted, you to achieve at your dreams and stuff, but also want to make sure that you were, set up for success. Where if, like you said, you try to get into the Coast Guard, but, and I was trying to get in the Navy at the same time. But that was at the time they were trying to find any reason to say, yeah, no, we're not going to bring new people in, and trying to find every medical excuse to kick people out, when we're trying to downsize the military. It just shows that, your dad thinking ahead, wanting to make sure that you were able to be successful in whatever you applied yourself to, or had something to fall back on in case.
Well, and I think
what you had planned.
I think you have a lot of that too. And I mean, not for nothing, you can definitely make a career out of law enforcement or being in the military or something like that. But,
Yeah.
And granted, the argument that I'm about to make can definitely be said for what you and I do as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, truly anything can happen. I mean, you and I both personally know people that went in and within 4 or 6 weeks at, basic training were discharged on medical reasons.
I know a guy. He was
I think we know 2 people that we were in ROTC with.
Yeah, 2 people in ROTC. I know one guy. He was in my graduating class. He was the top of the class. He was our valedictorian. He did the speech and everything. Full ride to the Air Force, the Air Force Academy out in Colorado. At the 6-week mark, he dropped out. He quit. And after I graduated the Citadel Sergeant Reed and I went back to visit, he came to my graduation. He told me, he's like, hey, I don't know if you heard this yet or not, Hudson, but so-and-so. I'm like, yeah. He's like, he dropped out at week 6. And apparently Sergeant Reed had made a bet with all the staff, because all the teachers knew me and this kid. And I, as you recall, like, I was a quiet, nerdy one. And this guy, he was like pro athlete.
We were definitely the ones people were thinking was going to shoot up the school.
Yeah, they looked at us like, if he comes in wearing a trench coat, arrest that motherfucker, because bad things will happen.
If he comes in wearing a trench coat and the 3 people he hangs out with are wearing red shirts, run.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, they Sergeant Reed, he told me later he had made a bet with them, because everyone's like, oh, no, so-and-so, top of the class, he plays soccer, plays football, runs track, cross country. Oh, he's an all-around athlete. Oh, he's going to smoke the Air Force Academy, blah, blah, blah. Caleb, he's not going to make it. He washed out at week 6, and I made it through. So Sergeant Reed was, he was proud of that. He also made a good bit of money off of it. So, from what he tells me.
Well, and that's the funny thing. Like, I've watched a lot of different documentaries and stuff on what the hell was that show? There was a show that was on like National Geographic or Discovery Channel or something. It was around the time that me and you were in high school, where they followed the Navy SEALs, and that was one of the things that they said. They're like, yeah, we get this guy that comes in and he's the high school quarterback and he's the track star and all this and stuff. And he's like, and the buds instructors, they sit back and they look at him and they go, yeah, he's gonna be out within a month.
Yeah.
And they're like, now the quiet guy that comes in that doesn't brag about anything, they're like, he'll make it all the way through. And they're like, every single time, like you're like the guy that you're talking about, track team, played football, played soccer, oh, he's gonna smoke everything, you know, physically fit, healthy as a horse guy. They're like, no, he ain't gonna make it.
Yeah. So
they're like, more than likely, he'll be one of the first ones to go.
Yeah. Well, and that's
there's psychology that goes into it.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's a YouTube guy, the guy he was an ex-Navy SEAL, or no, he I think he's like a business consultant, but he's also big into fitness, and he did like SEAL training and everything like that. And he had done interview with the SEALs and stuff. He's like, how do y'all select people that do it?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. But it's like, he said the same thing. He said, it's like, they
would rather have somebody with mediocre skills, but with a high trustworthiness than somebody that has high skills and no trustworthiness.
Yeah. Because the guy with the high trustworthiness, is going to do everything he can to help you. And then, it's kind of like in Lone Survivor with that situation. One guy, he was shot up, broke his back, broken legs.
Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah. I mean, he
told himself, you're being a bitch. Get your shit together and get the fuck out of the situation.
And he crawled out and he survived. He was the only one that survived with several gunshot wounds, a broken back, broken leg.
No, he had a compound break in his leg. His leg was shattered. I'm surprised the man walks today.
Yeah. I forgot it was a compound. I just remember that both his back and his leg had been broken. I forgot that it was a compound fracture.
And he crawled something. I mean, it was something insane. It was like 10 miles to that village. And he still keeps up with that guy. That what was he, Afghani, I think?
Yeah, that brought him into the village and protected them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we're running over here, so last comment that Jerry just put in, the 1029 one,
This one here?
Like you said, I mean, in this even holds true, Nick. I'm sure it's true in your field. It's true out of my field and what I've experienced. Some of the builders and warranty guys that talk a big game and all this other stuff, they don't stay with the company more than like a year or 2 years if things get a little hard. The guys that come in,
they're constantly chasing the guy that's going to give them another 50 cents on the hour.
Yeah. In my company, we actually just lost one guy, and he fit to the T. He, talk a big game. Well, I've got this. I got to sit on this house all day. Dude, if you're in warranty and you got trades coming to do repairs, you don't have to physically sit on the house. The trades know what they need to do. They read your email. As long as you have good notes, you don't have to stand there and hold their hand and be like, I want you to paint left to right, not up and down. I want you to hit the hammer or on the nail this way, not this way.
The notes are a big thing. I mean,
yeah.
Like you said, we're running a little bit over, but God, dude, there's guys, and some of them are I've read these invoices at the company that I'm at now, and they drive me insane. It'll be some dumbass note that's in there like, found unit broken, fixed. There's 25 units on the roof, dickhead. Which one did you even work on?
Yeah. Well, same thing back when I was doing warranty. There's some warranty guys, and the builders, no fault to their own, none of them had warranty training. or they have like a knowledge base. How do you submit a warranty ticket? Well, you do this. Congratulations, you passed the warranty exam. But their notes read, like you said, homeowner states this, and they send the trade out. They're like, they'd send a transmission. Homeowner says this, schedule with the homeowner. And that was it. Where, like,
homeowner states water leak, scheduled roofer. Okay, I guess the roof is leaking then.
Yeah. No, you laugh, but we had a warranty guy. He had about 15 years experience, lazy as hell. Homeowner reports a water leak. He would always send the plumber. Plumber going, okay, where's the water leak? And they take him up to the second floor. Well, it's right over here in this corner. And the plumber pulls up his plans because he's got the blueprints that show where all the fucking plumbing pipes go, or all the plumbing goes inside that house. There's not a single water line that's in the damn roof line of a 2-story house.
Oh, no?
No. Now, if it's a 1-story, yes, there's one floor plan that we have right now where the main water feed goes up one wall of the garage, over the garage ceiling, and then down to the water heater to give the house hot water. That's the only fucking line that's in the ceiling. All the others are in the walls or underneath the second floor. But anywho, stuff like that. Good note taking, and learn from the trades. But
well, I had to go out on one this past week where a guy admittedly put down in his notes, coil is dirty, added 3 pounds of refrigerant. Well, how are you adding refrigerant to something if the coil is dirty?
Clean the damn thing first. Even I know that. I'm not an HVAC. What the fuck?
Clean the damn coil. And I know what it was. He put a thermometer on the line, and he was like, oh, my line temperature's too high. I need to add refrigerant to get my line temperature down. No, stupid. First of all, you shouldn't be putting your gauges on it unless you already know what your pressures should be. If you don't already know what your pressures should be for, this outdoor temperature, this indoor temperature, this humidity inside, if you don't already know what your numbers are supposed to be, putting your gauges on is pointless.
Yeah.
Because it's garbage information, because you look at it and you go, 150 and 425. I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah. I see numbers and they don't add up. I need numbers like this, not like that.
Well, what's the temperature? What's the temperature inside? 74. Well, 150 is way too fucking high then.
Yeah.
425 seems a little bit high, not overly high. It's high though. Your coil is probably fucking dirty.
Yeah.
Maybe try washing it.
Yeah.
Recheck those.
Well, Nick, I'll let you do the closing statements since this was your week.
There's not many closing statements to do. I think, we're going to end it with that. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe if you aren't subscribed. Definitely, guys, share this to other people. We are trying to grow it. If you do have topics that you want us to talk about, or if we've talked about something that you want to know more about, let us know. We can definitely revisit topics. Trying to grow it just a teensy bit bigger than what we have, and then we want to get some guests on here, but we also want to make it lucrative for the guests too. We don't want them to come on here and spend an hour, 90 minutes with us and maybe gain one follower on their end either. So
yeah, our goal is to stay in the double digits for at least a couple weeks in a row before we bring on a guest speaker.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Or even if there's other suggestions, Nick, I know you, me, and Jay depend kind of on our work schedules. We're kind of stuck with the current times that we're doing right now. A little bit later in the evening, but I think if we're able to grow a little bit, we may be able to push the times of the live stream up a little bit, maybe, or venture that way. Just depending on how things go,
But yeah,
we'll see.
Like I said, share, definitely share. The sharing helps. Comments help. It gets us up on the feed a little bit, and we get some more. I think they're called organic views. So that's always cool. Whatever the hell that means. Want to give some thanks to Monica. She runs all of our social media stuff for us. Like Caleb said at the top of the show, there, all the Twitter and Facebook and Insta Snap and Face Chat and whatever the hell else there is. I don't know what any of them are because I don't have them.
Tick
And
Twitter.
Tick Twitter.
Tick Twitter.
Is that
Oh,
what-
we're not on Tick Twitter.
Are we not on Tick Twitter?
I don't think we are.
That should really be like our side of it, though. We do the videos.
Oh, that's right. I mean, we could do a quick little Tick Twitter here and there on the job site. Check out this dumbass.
Check out this moron.
Customer states AC won't cool. Well, the damn thing's a block of ice. It's cooling something, just not your air.
I didn't have it. I didn't have it personally, but I know a good friend of mine that's a technician for where I work now. He went out on one, and it was customer states unit is not cooling. He went out, and it was set to heat. So that's probably why.
Yeah. Nice.
But want to also give a quick thank you to Jenna. It's Monica's stepsister, half sister, maybe both. I don't know. I don't know how all that breaks down. I don't know what a second cousin is either. So if you want to comment and explain to me what a stepsister and a half sister, what the difference is, that's fine. We'll take all the comments we can get.
Yep.
Or if you want to explain what a second cousin is, I'll really take that one because that confuses the fuck out of me.
There we go. Shout out to Jerry G, our VIP for the comments tonight.
Get right. He won. He got them all.
Yep. Thank you, Jerry. Loyal follower, listener,
watcher.
But watcher.
That
viewer.
sounds creepy.
Yeah.
Sounds like a smelly job too. But yeah, Jenna, she does all of our thumbnails for the videos, so all those cool things that you see.
Yep.
And for every one that, just so everybody knows, for every one that I post, you know, that I actually use for a video, she sends me probably 6.
Yeah.
And that's like she'll send me 6 right out of the gate, and then anything that needs to be changed or edited, or, you know, I'm kind of psychotic. I'm like, oh yeah, if we tweak this and turn it that way, like, you know, like not quite a 22.5-degree angle, maybe like a 21. I think that'll work.
And can you make it look like a tree but still legible wording?
Like a tree, but like I don't want to be too specific, but maybe like
a old angel oak out on John's Island, something like that.
Something like that. Or I mean, if that's too much, maybe like a North Carolina dogwood. I don't want the Virginia dogwood because I don't like the flowers on that one. But
yeah, no, she definitely. I can tell y'all, she definitely puts the work into it because usually the Sunday or Monday before we get ready to dive into our topic and research history of whatever it is, even though we haven't really done much research here lately. Nick will shoot me a text. What do you think of this? And the next thing I know, my phone just like constantly vibrates or blows up, and I have like all these different images, like thumbnail, and it's like, oh shit, I got to find out which one I like the most. And usually, you know, she does a pretty good job. I usually like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, that's usually why I gotta send them to you, because I'm like, man, there's like 3 good ones here. Like, I mean, they're all good, but I'm like, there's 3 that I really like that I want to use, but I can only pick one.
Yeah.
So
all right.
That's all for that. We will see you guys on the next one.
Yep.